Okay, folks, Andrew Boltbros here. Well, we went live yesterday and I did talk about a potential signing that could be a game changer. This one's going to be a bit controversial. Quite a few of you guys actually made comments about this person in the chat. So I'm excited to see what your guys' thoughts are. Please leave a comment down below. This is going to be pretty exciting. We're going to talk about the edge rushing room today. So, guys, let's get into it. Hey, go, folks. As always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Boltbros, and as you can see, I'm still in Arizona. Flight did not work out yesterday, so I am here for a few more days, actually. So let's talk a little bit about the edge rushing room, guys. And I do think that there's a lot to be said about where we're going to go. I think Jim Harbaugh has some pretty big decisions to make. Now, let me make this very clear. There's one thing that Jesse Minter specifically talked about on his defense is that it's all about block destruction, and really just having sound defense, keeping things very simple. So there's some really big decisions that need to be made. Right? I'm going to talk more about this as well too. So again, edge rushing isn't just about getting sacks. It's also about pressures. It's also about setting the edge. All of these things are taken into account, right? So I know we sit back and think about sacks, the highest amount of sacks possible, whatever. But if you don't set the edge, you're not doing great, right? So it's a big part of the conversation. So Jimbo Harbaugh's got some big decisions, and so of course Joe Ortiz. So I'm going to give you also in this conversation, give you my opinion on what I do think is going to actually happen with the edge rushing room moving forward. Again, we got some big decisions to make. One of which is Joey Bosa. Now, I've talked about this at nauseum. The Bolt Bros have talked about this at nauseum. Joey Bosa is no longer going to be a Charger next year. I think they're probably working that out right now, whether it's a trade, whether it's just releasing him in general. I'm sure they're trying to figure that out. He is the big piece that needs to be moved somewhere. Everyone's talking about him going to the Niners, playing with his brother. Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. We have no idea at this point. But at the end of the day, he most likely will not be a Charger. If he is no longer a Charger, in that theory, we would get close to about $100 million in available cap space moving into this next season. That's a lot of money that we can play around with. So the big question comes up right now, and the big question is, do we keep Khalil Mack? Khalil Mack has said he wants one more year. One more year. The real question that I have with this is, again, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are very close friends. They've played together a number of years now. They've wanted to play together. Joey Bosa's never been healthy. Khalil Mack has always been healthy, which was a bit of a shock. I actually think a lot of people thought Khalil Mack was going to really struggle, but he's been great health-wise. I mean, he's had some bangs up here and there, but bottom line, Khalil Mack probably has one more year left in him, maybe two, depending. But the real question boils down to, does he want to be a Charger? I think the answer would be yes, but he's probably going to want a lot of money. Now, the way I look at Khalil Mack, and again, this is really the crux of the conversation. Khalil Mack is kind of like a Band-Aid, right? You're putting it on top of an open wound, right? But it's not going to last for a long time. Right? Maybe that's a really bad analogy. Maybe that's not a great analogy. He's a stopgap. That's probably a better analogy, right? He's going to be there for a short while to fix a larger problem. So to me, the real question is, do you want to go with a guy that's going to just be a stopgap now, or do you want to go with a long-term solution, right? That's really the conversation in today's video, right? Is Khalil Mack going to be there? Is he going to have a good enough year this next year to maybe get you to a Super Bowl or potentially, obviously, an AFC West championship? All the above, right? How far is he going to take us? Again, he's getting older. I think he'll be 34 going into this next season. My opinion, for the amount of money he's going to ask for, he's probably not worth it. Now, let me tell you why. He also is, I think, first or second in the league in pressure rates as an edge rusher. That has a ton of value. Again, this is what I'm telling you right now. Setting the edge. All these things are very valuable. I think he only had 8.5 sacks this year. But the reality is, bottom line, his pressure rate was through the roof, and that has a ton of value. You want to get that quarterback in the pocket, dancing around and not throwing the ball accurately off their back foot. And that's what pressure rates give you. So the question really boils down to, is it worth it to keep Khalil Mack? I think the answer is yes. But for the amount of money he's going to want and for the future gains for this position, I think it's going to be most likely a no, sadly, unless they come up with a really good dollar amount. I promise you right now, Joe Ortiz has already thrown dollars in front of these guys right now. They're mulling them over. Khalil Mack is sitting there talking to his agent going, what do we think? Should we take this deal? whatever the dollar amount is. I mean, I don't even want to speculate what it's going to be, but he's going to be worth a lot of money in the open market for 1 year, right? A team like the Lions might be a good choice. Hell, maybe even the Chiefs, which would really make me sick to my stomach if that would be the case. But you get my point, right? He's got 1, maybe 2 more years left in him, and that's going to be it for him. So what does he do? This is a very tough decision for him, so we'll see how it plays out. But it brings up a good question, and I talked to my brother James about this and also Kyle. This is really an opportunity for Tuli to step up and take that role, right? He had 8.5 sacks, I think almost exactly the same sacks as Khalil Mack, with less snaps underneath his belt, from what I could tell, or equivalent type. The thing is, Tuli's younger. He's does a great job setting the edge. He's just as good as Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa when Joey Bosa is healthy, for a fraction of the price, right? So my view is, okay, Tuli makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we know we have him for, I believe, another 2 years at this point. I think this 3rd year will be a big year for him. Tuli is ready to make that next step. You know that. I know that. Tuli knows that. And I guarantee this coaching staff knows that as well. So it brings me to the other question. Okay, do we go after a rookie in the draft, which I like, or do we go after a proven commodity in the NFL that could be a person to step into this role to also coach up Tuli a little bit and has done it at the high level? So right now, the argument is that Josh Sweat might be the guy that we go after. Now, let me make this abundantly clear, folks. Everyone in the chat made comments about this as well, too, from our live yesterday when I teased that this could be the big sign. I think this could be one of the biggest signings and biggest decisions this offseason for this team. Because, one, you let Bosa walk, you save $25 million. You can get a wide receiver. But do you take a risk in drafting someone, maybe 1st or 2nd round, that could step into that position? This is the big decisions that make teams good and great, right? Great and good. You get what I'm saying. This is huge, right? And this is where Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh and this coaching staff is really going to make their money, because you could go after a guy like this. And the argument, guys, I saw you guys make this argument in the chat. You guys, I have to admit, we have some of the smartest listeners on this channel. You guys are smart. You guys knew exactly what I was going to say. I didn't even say it. I didn't even hint that this was exact. Well, I guess I kind of did, but my point is, Josh Sweat, it kind of get the impression that he's really wanting just his bags. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to talk more about this, but again, Tyler Brook of the 33rd team thinks this is the guy that we should go after. I'm a little indifferent. Okay, I'm going to be very clear. Let's recap what he said and why he thinks he's the right fit, and then I'll analyze a little bit more as to what he could be or couldn't be in this situation. Okay, again, we all know Khalil Mack. We know the situation with Khalil Mack. He's going to want a lot of money for this next season. We let Joey Bosa walk. Will Mack even want to come back? Probably not. But again, Khalil Mack has announced that he plans to play for 1 more season at least. But we'll see. Again, that does leave a huge hole for the Chargers. You know that. I know that. Right now, we have currently $65 million in cap space. Now, we let Bosa walk, we'll get close to $100 million plus the other $7 million. We're going to get close to $100 million most likely when we let Bosa go, which I do think is going to happen. So here's the argument, guys. And let's just read the argument. Let's have a conversation about it. I want you to think about this. Signing with the Chargers will allow Sweat to be slotted into a premier role defense that, he's great. He's the 9th ranked. They had the 9th ranked defense in DVOA in 2024, and with promising edge talent like Joey Bosa, Tuli Tuipulotu. Again, it would put them in a very good position. He would just be another piece of the puzzle, and he's much younger as well too. Sweat was a 4th round pick. Again, 4th round pick. So he was not a high pick in 2018, and his entire career with the Eagles. So now he's coming off his 8 sack season, 43 sacks for his career, and 2.5 sacks of Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl and the Eagles' victory. He had a great game, guys. You know that. I know that. And Sweat knows that. So I think the thought is that he's probably going to ask for a lot of money, right? And again, he was a 4th round pick. He didn't get a lot of money. It's one of those situations where now he's wanting his bag. Everyone in the chat said Sweat is going to want his bag. Is he the guy? That brings the big conundrum in this conversation, right? Do you bring a guy back that's got 1, maybe 2 years left in him in Khalil Mack? Probably 1 year, maybe not 2. We'll see. He's a stopgap. Tuli's going to step in. We know he's going to be the main guy. We still have Bud Dupree, as well for 1 more year. but is Sweat the guy? He's going to want big money. Now, my argument would be that Sweat's probably going to want as close, if not the same amount as Khalil Mack, because he was right the same, about 8 sack season, right? I think Khalil Mack had 8, maybe 9 sacks. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Correct me in the chat below. So they're going to want about the same amount of money, but he's going to want a larger contract, 3 years, 4 years, right? So we might be right back in the same conversation with Joey Bosa. So again, what is your thought? Now, I'm just going to tell you what I think personally, guys. And this is really where big decisions have to be made. And let me make this very clear, guys. This is going to be an extremely tough decision. Let me land my plane. I personally think there's enough edge rushers in this draft that we go after an edge rusher and just risk it. Tuli is going to be very good. Now, I will also say a few things. Justin Aboigbe, he would line up on the edge and also a defensive lineman as well, too. He does a great job. We highlighted the guy from Michigan. I'm drawing a blank on his name off the top of my head. He can line up as a defensive lineman or an edge. We could get 2 really nice defensive linemen. Again, they'd be very high picks that could give us what we need on the edge rushing room, and we'd be fine. I personally feel you need to get younger. And that position, it's going to be very difficult to get the amount of production for the money that we're going to be allotting. I think it's time for us to focus a little bit more on the offense. I think the defense is going to be fine. Tuli's great. He will do a great job moving forward. I do think, again, if that's the case and we do let Bosa walk, we are definitely going to sign Tier Tart back. We're going to sign Puna Ford back. And we're probably going to get another defensive lineman in the draft and an edge rusher, first or second round, either way. Or maybe even trade up. We're going to have a lot of comp picks. We could trade up and get some more comp picks moving forward. So there's going to be a lot of things that need to be discussed on this. So what are your thoughts? Is Sweat worth it? I mean, I didn't even see numbers that were going to come out, but I mean, you're probably talking easily $15 to $20 million a year. I just don't know that that's really worth it. But guys, I'm just saying this, a powerful edge rusher can do a lot. Now, my other argument on Sweat would be, I forgot to say this, I was looking back on my notes on this. Sweat also was on a very good defense. That defensive line was absolutely stout. So you have to say, was it Sweat doing most of the work, or was the defensive line doing a lot of the work and he was just getting paid the dividends? So I'm kind of a believer that this coaching staff, Joe Ortiz, Chad Alexander, they can find an edge rusher with good value in the draft. It's going to be a first or second round pick. And that guy's going to be the guy that we're going to have moving forward. So that's my take on this. What are your thoughts? I know this is a little bit of a controversial video because everyone loves Bosa. Everyone loves Mack. Well, maybe not Bosa, but Mack, of course, everyone loves Mack. But he's going to be expensive. And he's not a long-term solution. He's maybe a 1 or 2 year solution moving forward. So guys, what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. And guys, is Josh Sweat the guy? What do you guys think? I mean, he did great in the Super Bowl, but you can argue that, really the defensive line as a whole did a great job against the Chiefs. So again, what are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. As always, Andrew Bullpros. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bullpros podcast.